Quentin Grimes is getting a lot of praise for his game around the league, especially from former NBA player JJ Redick. JJ Redick went on his podcast recently where he gave a lot of praise to Quentin Grimes, his game, and what he thinks he means for the New York Knicks heading into next season. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. Let's get started. JJ Redick has high praise for Quentin Grimes, and he said this essentially when he was on his podcast discussing Quentin Grimes and his game. Now, if you didn't know, JJ Redick and Quentin Grimes have been meeting up this offseason to discuss Quentin Grimes' game, but to also work on Grimes' three-point shooting. And if you know anything about JJ Redick, the one thing he was known best for when he was playing in the NBA was his three-point shooting. So to see him working with Quentin Grimes this offseason is a huge positive sign for me because it tells me that Quentin Grimes is working on the things he knows he needs to work on and the things he needs to be better at for this New York Knicks team to elevate and get to the next level. Here's JJ Redick's comments on Quentin Grimes. Roll the clip.
Got one more for you. Let's assume Knicks don't make a trade, right?
Yeah.
The guy that could potentially give them another 5 wins in the regular season and really, really help them in the playoffs. I think as much as people talk about Quickly's awesome. Quentin Grimes.
Yeah, it was
some
great.
improvement offensively, some improvement with consistency shooting the basketball. He's highly competitive, highly energetic. He fits on that team. He fits on that roster. Quentin Grimes is another one. There you go, Knicks fans. There's some positivity.
Quentin Grimes is another one. That was the statement JJ Redick meant when he was talking about the New York Knicks, Quentin Grimes, and what he could help the New York Knicks do heading into next season. Not only that, but did you hear him say that Quentin Grimes could help the New York Knicks win an extra 5 games next season? So let's say they win more or less the same amount of games going into next season. That means next season, if Quentin Grimes does help you get an additional 5+ games, the Knicks could be looking at a 50+ winning game season. That hasn't happened in such a long time. And this is quite high praise here from JJ Redick, a former NBA player who played at a very competitive level, obviously was a great three-point shooter, and has been working with Quentin Grimes this offseason. So it's very good to note what he's saying about Quentin Grimes. And obviously he's not just taking this and saying this by what he's seeing. He went to actively go work out with him. So when that happens, his insight just means so much more because he already has an in-depth feel for that player. And if he's saying this, you have to take it for what it's worth. And I think coming from JJ Redick is worth a lot. Quentin Grimes has definitely been working on his game this offseason. We saw him in the Elite Pro run. His body looks better, bigger. He looks like he can take contact a lot better. His handle looks a lot better. He looks like he can drive and penetrate a lot better. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be just as aggressive during the regular season as we've seen him be during these Elite Pro runs. But it's very good to see him working out and working on his shot and working on his game with JJ Redick this offseason because it tells me that Quentin Grimes is locked in, he's focused, and he's working on the things that he knows he needs to work on for this New York Knicks team to elevate to the next level. And if he can give the Knicks 5+ wins without the Knicks making another move at this point, according to JJ Redick, that would be a huge step up for the New York Knicks. I'm telling you that right now. But based on the workout videos, this praise coming from JJ Redick, the fact that Quentin Grimes is working out with JJ Redick this offseason, and the fact that he was chosen for the Team USA select team, meaning that he's going to be training in practice with the national team for Team USA, as well as these rising stars in the pool of rising stars he was chosen in for the select team for Team USA. He's going to be practicing with that level of competition day in and day out very, very soon. If you add all of that up, I'm expecting a huge leap from Quentin Grimes and his game heading into next season. And I would think JJ Redick is expecting the same thing too. especially if he considers him another one to watch right behind Emmanuel quickly, and if he's pegging Quentin Grimes in his development to get the New York Knicks 5 additional wins. And I think Quentin Grimes is going to have to do everything he can this offseason to come into training camp in the best shape that he possibly can be in. Because I don't think the starting job is just going to be handed to him. It's just going to be given to him. They have added Donte DiVincenzo. They're about to re-sign Josh Hart to an extension of upwards to $75 million. If that's the case, one of those guys might take that starting role and you might see Grimes come off the bench. Grimes is not a lock to start this season. I'm going to say that now. So Quentin Grimes working on his game this offseason, getting noticeably bigger and stronger and being more aggressive with his game, taking contact. These are things you want to see from Quentin Grimes and see him work on, especially the three-point shot. And if he can put these things together, he might be able to earn that starting position for next season. But if he can't, and Donte DiVincenzo or Josh Hart outplays him, either during training camp, during practice, or at some point during the regular season when Tom Thibodeau wants to shake it up again and change up the roster like he did last season, because you know that could happen at any point in time when Tom Thibodeau is your head coach. If that's the case, then maybe that's what's happening with Quentin Grimes here. Maybe it's inevitable that he's going to head to the bench and Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart, one of them is going to start. But I think the only thing he can do is continue to progress and work on his game. Because at the end of the day, that's going to give him the best chance and shot to lock in that starting role with the New York Knicks. But he has heavy competition. Donte DiVincenzo is no joke. That kid can play. Whether you want to give him former NBA championship title or not, it doesn't matter. Does he have it on his resume? Yes or no? Yes. Is he experienced? Yes. Does Tom Thibodeau like experience and veterans, or does he like young guys and rookies? If you use that formula, it would seem that everything is pointing to Donte DiVincenzo eventually taking that starting role. Now, if you're asking me, do I want that? No. I don't want Quentin Grimes being on the bench while Donte DiVincenzo is left there to start. However, I will say this. Quentin Grimes might have a better shot to display his game, his natural game, off the bench than he would do with the starters. And here's why. When Quentin Grimes plays with the starters, he has one role. One role, really. Stand in the corner and try to knock down a three while Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and RJ Barrett try to make something happen or try to penetrate and create. That's normally what we see with Grimes. But we saw in a lot of different areas when he was playing, especially in the Rising Stars game. We saw him being able to do a lot more with the ball, especially with playmaking ability that he has, passing ability that he doesn't get to do when he plays with the starters for the New York Knicks. But if he comes off the bench, he might have an ability to showcase that way more than he was ever able to do with the starters. Sometimes with Tom Thibodeau, you never know. He could start you, but end up playing a player off the bench a lot more minutes than a starter. So sometimes it's not about who starts, but it's about who closes. However, if you're asking me, I would like to see Quentin Grimes start at least for a few games to see if he can take this aggression that we see him developing and see if he can add that to the New York Knicks and the starting lineup. Because if he can, I think it would be a great benefit to the New York Knicks and what they're trying to do for next season. But if he can't, and let's say Donte DiVincenzo really and truly outplays him, then maybe we can talk about coming off the bench for Grimes at that point in time. Either way, I think whether he starts or he comes off the bench, I think he's going to be an important role for the New York Knicks moving forward. And I think even when he comes off the bench, you can make the argument that he would definitely get a better chance to showcase his game, his more natural game, better than what he could do with the starters. Because again, with the starters, he'll be more limited in regards to what he can do because that ball is going to be in the hands primarily of Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett. But I'm very interested to see what Quentin Grimes can do moving forward with his game, what all of this practice with Team USA does, what all of this working out with JJ Redick does in the offseason, but most importantly, how he puts everything together and what he takes into training camp and to the regular season as well too. It's going to be very interesting to watch his growth and development. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.